Tonight, new developments and fallout after the conviction of Daniel Perry. Perry was found guilty of murder in the 2020 death of Garrett Foster.
Now we're seeing a lot more evidence, a lot more of the evidence the state wanted admitted to the trial for the jury to see. It includes hundreds of messages Perry sent that centers around things like protests and Black Lives Matter movement.
This one is really fucked up. So you guys already know who Daniel Perry is, a convicted murderer who went to a Black Lives Matter protest, drove into a crowd, and executed Air Force veteran. What was his name? I'm forgetting his name right now. Well, but he executed a Black Lives Matter protester. Oh. And Garrett Foster, thank you. He executed Air Force veteran Garrett Foster, and the trial was pretty unhinged. Ultimately, he was found guilty, okay? Daniel Perry was, and now Tucker Carlson and numerous other like far-right weirdos are trying to get Daniel Perry to be pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Texas Governor Greg Abbott basically said he was going to do that immediately. He's like, come on. Immediately bring it over to my desk. I'm going to pardon him immediately. Well, while that happened, okay, during that process, more details came out. Now, during the court proceedings, we've heard that the reason why Daniel Perry got convicted of murdering a Black Lives Matter protester and not being able to utilize stand your ground in a state like Texas, where he was convicted by a jury of his peers, by the way. And that's a pretty hard thing to stick in a state of Texas. When you fucking kill someone and you say, I was in fear of my life, so I killed them, especially someone like there's a Black Lives Matter protester, they pretty much say, okay, well, here's your deputy sheriff's badge, right? So the idea that like this person would be found fucking guilty is he had to have there had to be a lot of evidence, and certainly there was. For example, there were numerous text messages and numerous social media posts where Daniel Perry openly talked about how he wanted to kill Black Lives Matter protesters, how he fantasized about it. Okay? So just understand that. Like, the bar is exceptionally high for first-degree murder. It's exceptionally high. It's even higher in the motherfucking state of Texas. Okay? And, he got. No, it's even Rittenhouse 0.5 beta edition. Not really, because even in the Rittenhouse case, like, there is more evidence that Rittenhouse utilized to at least cast doubt. The judge was expressly on Rittenhouse's side, wouldn't allow additional information like Rittenhouse fantasizing about also murdering people that he called looters and thugs to be, called into question by the jury. They called in to be like, he would not allow that. That was not allowed in as evidence. We saw that afterwards. But in this circumstance, it directly corresponded to the court case. The judge allowed it to happen. The judge allowed that to be, brought up in the court case. And not only that, but also it was totally fucking unprovoked. Whereas in Kyle Rittenhouse's at least first kill, right, you could make the argument that the fucking, the other guy attacked him first, so he shot him, right? That was enough to cast some doubt on what the initial instigator was and how things escalated. Whereas in this regard, this guy drove into a fucking crowd of Black Lives Matter protesters, took his gun out, and shot one of them. Word you are looking for is admissible in court. Yes, the other judge would not allow that to be brought in as evidence. Okay? Rittenhouse is on the record saying he wanted to kill protesters, calling black people monkeys, and saying he wanted to go to Europe to hunt Muslims. Rittenhouse is not on the record for saying that. He did actually, and it was never brought into the record for the jury to see when the video of him surfaced where he was talking about how he wanted to get a gun and kill the black people that he said were looting from the CVS a week prior. So remember that. But this guy did. Daniel Perry was found guilty because there was so much, overwhelming amounts of evidence that he wanted to put himself in a self-defense style situation. Okay?
KVUE senior reporter Tony Polhetsky got a hold of those documents and shows us how they may impact Perry's sentence.
Brian and Quita, this is the document Judge Clifford Brown considered when looking at what to allow the jury to see during trial. The jury saw some of these messages during the trial, but far from all of them. Because Brown is doing the sentencing, legal experts have said he'll consider all of this when deciding how much time Perry will spend in prison. In that document, the state mentions a Facebook post from Perry on June 1st, 2020 that says, quote, "They also spread violence and hatred like the Black Panthers of the 60s. Black Lives Matters is racist to white people and think we should pay them money because we purchased them from Black Africans in Africa." That same day, he also posted,
you know, pretty basic stuff. I mean, a lot of people are throwing up huhs, but you hear this all the time. Any right-wing circle, if you've ever observed it from afar, you've heard these takes. I mean, half the motherfuckers we ban in this chat come in here and say shit like that. You know what I mean? It's pretty boilerplate, open and shut, cut and dry, white supremacist racism that maybe even some of your uncles and some of your fucking grandfathers have expressed time and time again. It's so normal that you get blind to this kind of thing. You know what I mean? This is not like, this is literally what a lot of people say in private and in public when they're only around other white people usually.
Posted on Facebook, quote, "Now it is my turn to get banned, but comparing Black Lives Matters movement to a zoo full of monkeys that are freaking out, flinging their expletive." He also posted a comment on a YouTube video titled, "Protesters, Looters Get Shot, San Antonio, Texas," saying, quote, "Glad someone finally did something." And in a text message with a friend on June 21st, 2020, that person described to Perry what the definition of self-defense is under the law. Perry responded by saying, quote, "It matters not what the law is. What matters is how much money you can spend on a lawyer and the jury," end quote.
Brilliant. This guy definitely had he had some really smart legal takes, it seems.
And the state also pointed to an online search Perry made where
I guess he just didn't spend enough money on the jury nor on a subscription to avoid the top of the hour ad break. You know what I mean? Kind of like that. It doesn't matter. Now, you're saying this isn't going to change anything, though, is it? He's still going to get pardoned by that demon, isn't it? The only thing that I can see to ensure that this person does not get pardoned is if the Democratic Party and the media actually did something and it wasn't the fucking KVUE news report with 1.5K views that is covering this shit, but actually CNN that was covering it every goddamn night with the same intensity that Tucker Carlson's been covering lies about the Daniel Perry court case in an effort to basically galvanize the base and develop support for Daniel Perry's pardon. But they're not doing that, and that's the problem. I have rarely seen this issue be covered in the media. I don't see a lot of mainstream coverage over this issue. It is seen as like a non-issue, I guess, or I don't know what the fuck it is. Or maybe the mainstream media is simply waiting for Governor Greg Abbott to end up doing a pardon so that there will be massive fucking Black Lives Matter protests in Texas and police brutality that comes along with that so that they can get more content out of it. I don't even think the media is thinking that far. I just think that they don't give a shit. So TikTok, do your thing. You know what I mean? If you want to do this, if you want to turn this into like an East Palestine, Ohio situation, what you could do is at least, constantly talk about how fucking insane this person is, especially because he repeatedly talked about murdering black people in the most racist ways possible. Okay? That's it. Do not wait until the wheeled demon decides to pardon this piece of shit, because one side is constantly begging for that pardon, demanding that it happens, and the other side is not really talking about it. That is the unfortunate reality of the situation. This is a profoundly white supremacist act That is the point of it. They want to do it on purpose, okay? They want to pardon this guy because he went to a BLM protest, because he was fucking racist, and he drove into a crowd, and he fucking killed one of the BLM protesters. Doesn't matter if the BLM protester was white. Doesn't matter. That is irrelevant to the point of contention. He wanted to go there and pop off on people and get a legal kill, okay? The reason why Governor Greg Abbott will pardon this person inevitably is because they want to send a message. The reason why Tucker Carlson wants this person to get a pardon is because they want to send a message. We are above the law. You are not. Law and order means law and order for you, not for us. Okay? That's the message. Understand that. Now, do I think that if this became a big stink, if this became a big dookie, and a lot of people started talking about it and going, what the fuck? You really want to pardon this guy? I mean, text messages came out where he was like trying to fuck a 17-year-old girl or a 16-year-old girl. Like, what the fuck are you? What? This guy who said he wants to kill BLM protesters, you're just going to, after he did that, you're going to pardon him? That's insane. If that happened, that is the only way you could stop Greg Abbott from actually pardoning this person. He might still even do it, even if there was, unironically, a lot of pressure on him. Okay?
He typed, quote, degrees of murder charges. Those searches all happened in the weeks leading up to the protest in which Foster was shot and killed on July 25th. Perry had claimed he thought Foster raised a gun at him, so Perry opened fire. There are dozens more posts and searches mentioned in this document, many of which, again, were not admitted in trial. But this comes after Governor Greg Abbott called for an expedited review of a pardon.
Yeah, here, I'll give you some more, key details of the situation. Okay, you want to see how fucked up this shit is? Here, let me show you. So, some of the racist messages, or a lot of the racist messages, are actually leaked. In addition to occasionally racist messages suggesting Daniel Perry, the man Governor Greg Abbott wants to pardon, was fantasizing about shooting protesters, there are some where he's chatting with underage youth. No nudes until you're old enough, Perry wrote in one message. Daniel's 33. Iazuki says, okay, so I'm 16. I'll be 17 in 3 months. You sure you want me? Post contains an X indicating it was removed from the device. Smart. What state? He says. Huh? She says. What state do you reside in? Nah, you too late, boo, says Outgoing messages, okay. She says, bye. Your loss. Iazuki says, oh, okay, call me. He says, do you have Skype? Also promise me no nudes until you are old enough to be of age. She says, okay. 33 years old. Do you want a real long relationship? Yes. My man was grooming. She puts her number down. I do not think I'm ready for you to have access to my number. Last time I gave my number to a girl, she spammed my phone with underage news. I had to change my number out of fear of going to jail. Why is this happening to him regularly? He's like, yeah, if you want to talk to me, do it via Skype. That's weird. I'm going to bed. Come up with a reason why I should be your boyfriend before I wake up. He knows she's 16. I also would like to get to know you before I decide if I want you or not. He says, if I like it, I will call you. She says, I don't send nudes. For one, I'm not comfortable. You don't have to if you don't want. Look, I prefer to message for a few days before I call someone. Get to know them on an individual basis, like their personality and stuff. I work in a field where I have to be careful not to lose my security clearance because without it, I lose my job. This, again, another fucking military guy with security clearance, by the way, doing some insane shit. This is what happens when the military is the largest. It's the largest fucking, jobs provider in the country. You get a lot of brilliant motherfuckers. Okay? Look, I prefer to message for a few days before I call someone. Get to know them on an individual basis. I work in a field where I have to be careful and not lose my security clearance. So why an old man like me? He says, what do you mean? She says, I don't want you. A review of Daniel Perry's cell phone extraction revealed Kick Messenger exchanges between Kick account Daniel and Knives from Trigun and Kick account or on or about Savage Skills. How old are you again? Outgoing message. I never told you, lol. Lol, nope. I guess bye. What? What do you mean by? I am too old. Crying emoji, he says. How old are you then? He says 30. Plus, I am active duty military. My gosh, you old enough to be my dad. But I'm not upset because we can still be friends. I have friends 6 to 20 years of age. I'm a weird person. I feel numb most days, and when I'm not numb, it is because I'm playing video game or my cats. I wonder if I've banned this guy from my chat. Every time I see people like this, I'm like, I wonder. Daniel Perry, the man who Governor Greg Abbott wants to pardon, also chatted with an account known as Rainbow that wanted to do BDSM play and had told Perry they were soon to get their driver's license. It's unclear how old the Rainbow user is. Dude, military people who play video games are not looking great right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay? That's like, there's a lot of motherfuckers in the chat that fit that bill, that fit that profile. Okay? Thread shows Rainbow's an adult. Daniel Perry, who drove for Uber, admitted to killing a homeless man by accident, hitting a pedestrian with his car, and also said he'd been arrested for public intoxication, but had to convince the officer not to get him on a DUI. Well, now he's going to also convince, Governor Greg Abbott not to give him a fucking murder charge. So that's cool. According to this reporter, Rainbow was 26 at the time of the chats, which does not change that Perry had been chatting with at least one person who explicitly stated they were underage. Perry had told him not to send him nudes until they were old enough. Daniel Perry also admitted during a police interrogation that the man he shot did not aim his rifle at Perry because Foster did not lift his rifle out of the low ready position, which had its safety on and didn't have a round in the chamber. Remember
Daniel
that.
Perry's police.
I mean, here, this is like the most damning piece of evidence, by the way, that he just like shot him for no fucking reason. Here.
I know this is a really stressful time. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, he's dead. Oh God.
Footage of Daniel Perry's police interview after he killed Garrett Foster was played in the courtroom during his murder trial. Former Austin Police homicide detective David Fugit was the one to conduct the interview with Perry. In it, Detective Fugit had Perry demonstrate how Foster carried his rifle.
How high did that barrel come up? We have power about right there. Okay, was it aimed at you? I believe it was aimed at me. I believe he was going to aim it at me. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me, you know?
That right there is the zinger. I didn't want to give him a chance to aim at me. That's it. Like, he openly admitted that the other dude wasn't even fucking aiming his rifle at him. Okay? He was just scared, and he did a fucking accidental oopsie murder. Who amongst us hasn't done that? You know what I mean? That's it. That's it. That's the most important fucking piece of evidence right there throughout that entire interrogation. He just straight up said, I didn't want to give him a chance to aim it at me. You know? He got comfortable and he told the detective the truth about what happened. Now, after that, obviously, his lawyers tried to aggressively change his perspective, aggressively change his stance, but none of that truly matters because ultimately, okay, there were so many other witnesses that saw what happened on top of his text messages prior to the event that, made this pretty fucking damning, that made a jury of his peers convict him of murder beyond a reasonable doubt. That's it.
Perry did while he was sitting in the driver's seat.
It's like a thing within Western. I don't want to get shot, so.
Perry said he shot 5 times. He believes the whole encounter was less than 15 seconds.
Is he active military? Do they just not run at all anymore? Man, listen, he did basic already. He's done. He's done with the hard stuff years ago. Look at his search history. The normal night for Daniel Perry is just Googling good chats to meet young girls, followed by degrees of murder charges and attack on Jews in Texas. Here it is. A review of Daniel Perry's cell phone extraction revealed that on or about an unknown date in an unknown county in Texas, a possible search in Safari for good chats to meet young girls. Come on now. He also Googled attack on Jews in Texas. He also literally said, I might go to Dallas to shoot looters. What else you want? Am I racist for thinking the way the Black Lives Matter movement is like a bunch of monkeys flinging shit at a zoo? He said racist. Due to the fact that they demand white people give their houses to poor black family and the way protests always seem to turn violent. For example, my parents own a 4-bedroom house, and the BLM movement believed that my parents should give their house to a poor black family and pretty much live in a 1-bedroom house that they should buy with money that they don't have. Now, under normal circumstances, you look at a situation like this and you go, oh, like this is the ramblings of a schizophrenic madman. But in the United States of America, a nation that never actually solved or addressed its white supremacist underpinnings with routine white nativist, white nativist, well, natalist too, white nativist and white supremacist propaganda, okay? You look to that and you go, that's in some respects, while also definitely a violent criminal, is a victim of that kind of propaganda. This doesn't happen on its own. Nobody is born and then immediately they start thinking like this. They are conditioned into thinking like this, okay? There are so many people who think like this because they watch Fox News, they watch Newsmax, they watch all the fucking right-wing media say exactly these words. Where do you think he came up with this idea? You think he cooked it up in his own mind? No. I mean, obviously, it's not great that he's probably a fucking absolute dumbass, right? Who doesn't even have, he lacks the media literacy or the comprehension to like fully understand what the fuck he's watching, what the fuck he's looking at. You know what I mean? That's it. We already covered the underage youth text message. Here's Daniel Perry messaging someone named Rainbow. We looked at that. You know, there's 76 pages of this shit. Stop body shaming our soldiers, please. They might have to invade some powerless country at a moment's notice, so chillin' is important. Worst anime. His mind does not cook anything. He's got to Uber Eats a single thought. Yeah, I mean, that's it. He has to be force-fed this kind of propaganda, and he ate it hook, line, and sinker because, you know, it corresponds to his fucking worldview of being like a terrified monster that thinks that like the shadows are out to get him, that thinks that like black people want to come to his parents' house and fucking take it over and shit.
Pardon for Perry. Judge Brown still has not set a date for...
Was that an M. HUD joke? Attack on Jews, the worst anime? Now that one is definitely fascist. You know what I'm saying? Like make no mistake. Some people say, oh, I don't know if Attack on Titan is fascist or not. Attack on Jews? Certainly fascist.
Sentencing. Back to you.
Tony, thanks a lot. All new tonight, Garrett Foster's fiancee, Whitney Mitchell, issued a statement about this new evidence. It reads, quote, "This evidence only shows what we've known already, that Daniel Perry went to the scene because he wanted to harm someone who believed in the rights of black communities. The unsealed evidence is despicable and only makes us more proud that Garrett fought for a more just, less racist world. We hope the governor considers this evidence before pushing for a painful and unjust pardon," end quote.